We are live.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the Triple Crown Industry Chat with myself, JP, the lad from the north. We've got Paul Long, the lad from the south, and Jerry from the deep, deep, deep south. How are you doing, fellas?
Very good, apart from start of a cold, but I'm here. That's the main thing.
Is it? Are we allowed to say man flu? Do we have to be gender non-specific when we talk about stuff like this?
Yeah.
Nah, it's man flu. Is it man flu, Paul?
Not yet, but it could be soon. So I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, a lot of it going about. It's not COVID, is it?
No.
No one gives a shit about COVID anymore, do they? It doesn't seem. Yeah.
No, definitely not. But there's always some of it going about, isn't it? Every single year, no matter what time of the year you catch a cold, someone guaranteed will say, "Oh, it's the time of the year." There's a lot of it going about this time of the year.
That's me, basically.
It's like a Peter Kay joke, isn't it? Oh, you, Jerry, anyway.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I sort of felt. I feel a little bit. But I don't know because of the weather.
Yeah.
I should have been born in Jamaica or Australia. You know, like you get these people that are in the wrong gender, right? I think I'm in the wrong country. I think, like the way I am with sun, I should have been born somewhere hot.
Are you a big sun worshipper?
Say again?
Are you a sun worshipper?
I would say sun worshipper. I just I don't like the dark. I'm scared.
You try living up where Winterfell, where I'm at.
Yeah.
You southern softies. Wouldn't last a minute.
Off of the wall. Scary.
Yeah. With the ice giants and stuff. Jeez Louise.
How's your roof as well? I haven't spoken to you in a while.
Oh, do you know what? It's getting there. It's getting there. So the main roof is done. They're literally just doing there's a couple of loft shots and a porch. Coincidentally, and this just talks about like the quality of tradesmen. So the main roof is around about 175-year-old, right? First time it's been repaired in 107, well, like proper repair. They've had the odd slates and stuff. 175-year-old. They've saved about 70% of the tiles, right? Which is pretty high. It's pretty good. They've done the offshot, the little porch, 20-year-old, not a single one. Not a single tile was saved. The quality of the workmanship was so poor in comparison to the main roof. The roofer said, like, it's cowboys. They've used wrong nails. They've used like aluminium nails instead of copper nails, so it rusts and snaps. It's absolutely shocking. So it just goes to show 170 odd years ago, the amount of pride they had in the work.
Isn't that interesting though about, like, because we sometimes get asked to come in and fix a job, a copy job, basically. And it's always because the agent wanted it done on the cheap.
Yeah.
Always. It's always that. It's always that. So I'm not so whoever. Yeah, it's just really interesting.
Well, I know where you were going with that, right? But Ken and Jill, who we bought the house off, they live next door in the coach house, and they're lovely. And some things they've really taken the time at refurbing, and then other things they just haven't. Like there's a running joke in this house. It's death by gloss. Like, Jerry, if you came up here and you stood still for more than 10 minutes, you'd have gloss all over you. It's like, oh, it's broken, bit of gloss will sort that out, bit of gloss. So we're doing it literally bit by bit, but the roof was the last thing. There's a couple, there's one side of the house that needs double glazing, but we'll just sort that out next year or the year after. But yeah, I think we've got the kids' rooms need a bit of a tartan up a little bit, and other than that, then it's done. But so glad about the roof. What a nightmare that's been.
Talking about things that are broken, conveyancing. Jerry, I think you were going to...
Nice segue there, Paulie boy. Nice segue.
Oh, you are smooth like a dolphin, brother.
You were talking about it before we came on. So what's going on with conveyancing?
No, it's just because we always sort of look at what's going on in our groups and what's getting people or agents or animated. And in our group, there was this chat about conveyancing solicitors and the delays, and I mean, it's breathtaking arrogance I see sometimes from conveyancing solicitors. Like people take screenshots of stuff they've said. Who do they think they are? They've honestly, and I know some people say it's a two-way street and all this sort of stuff, but rather than just slate conveyancing solicitors, because there must be some good ones. I think there's a couple of pieces of content that could be done to help that. So if my rivals are watching, we've done it already. I know you're going to copy me. So first ever follows, just remember that. And they are how to select the best solicitor, like a little step-by-step guide. And this is stuff people can do. And also the importance, highlight where the log jams are happening. And agents know this better than content writers. And we've worked with our agents to come up with our sort of list. I think it's very important to educate people right from the start, the get-go, as they say in America. So yeah, I think there's a responsibility, an opportunity for agents to say, right, we're going to educate people about the conveyancing process, because the conveyancing solicitors won't do it because they're too lofty and sitting on like thrones to do it in little areas where you're not allowed to. How dare I saw a text, right, and the guy of an email, and it was literally, how dare you. He might not have said how dare, but the tone was strong. How dare you contact us to follow up? We will get back to you when we are ready. These people are working for someone. They're working. Do you know they have a client. They are supposed to be working on the best. That's not in the best interest of the client. These solicitors doing that sort of stuff winds me up, and I'm not even involved in the process.
We're I'm selling a house because I do a bit of flipping and whatnot, and I've got it on a lease option. Anyway, I'm selling it, and the lady's gone through a little bit of a tough time, and she's fell into arrears. So the repossession company's come in. So we're trying to save the sale to try and help her, and save our fee. Anyway, long story short, our solicitor was given the number of the repossession company to ring, and didn't ring them for 2 weeks. So it's further down the line. So I'm doing it with a guy I know, and so this chap's phoned the solicitor up and absolutely played holy war. And she said, "Well, I phoned them and they didn't answer." "When did you phone them?" 2 weeks ago. "Well, why haven't you told me? And I would have got a different number or whatever." And phoning somebody once and they don't answer and they don't call you back is not enough not to do it. Absolutely terrible. Really bad.
It's almost breathtaking sometimes, some of the stuff I hear about solicitors. You go, nah. You wouldn't expect that from, I don't know, local car valeting companies.
Well, just if you did that, Jerry, if I did that with my coaching clients, Paul did it with his Facebook clients, and you did it with your content clients, we wouldn't have any clients.
No.
We literally would go bust overnight. If we said I'd be like to Jerry, "How dare you try and book in a coaching call with me? I will call you when I am ready." He'd be like, "Screw you, I'm off. See ya."
Yeah.
You can't go on. You can't behave like that.
No.
Guys, if you're watching this, if you don't mind just typing in your name in the chat, just so we know who we're talking to. It's always great to actually know who's on there and who's listening. If you've got any questions as well, please feel free to ask away, especially about the topics. Paul, what do you want to talk about? What's your topic?
Yeah, I think perhaps connected a little bit with the conveyancing in some ways. I think now is the time for deeper conversations with clients and people that we're dealing with. So, Jerry made a good example there to educate people earlier on. And that is a conversation which perhaps you probably wouldn't think about, or perhaps you're not doing already. But now is the time for deeper conversations. And that could be just as simple as, when your team are registering applicants, is to go a little bit more in depth with the questions, setting them 2 or 3 questions to make sure are asked during that conversation to really identify, where people are, where they've been, what they're trying to achieve, and help you identify people that are actually thinking of moving at the moment rather than just testing waters. So, yeah, I think deeper conversations, looking at how you can educate people earlier on is vital.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jerry, what are your thoughts on that, Jerry?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think now is the time to show that sort of deeper agents who can show a deeper understanding of how everything works and that.
Yeah.
For some reason, when Paul was speaking there, I thought of Gary the barber, my barber.
Have you still not made up? Have you still not kissed and made up with him?
Well, Paul, this is breaking news. I've gone to a new barber.
I thought something looked different.
It's better. Turkish barber. He gave me a coffee. Right. But this, I joke, but there's a serious business lesson here, I believe, anyway. Gary the barber got really complacent. You go to his barbershop. It's tired. It's old. You feel a bit cold. It's grim. This Turkish barber's come in, and my God, he spent a few quid, and it looks like, yeah, I want to go there. It's an aspirational place to go. Do you know what I mean? So I wonder just how many estate agents. Funnily enough, I had a chat with one of the members, and they were saying, well, you know, the staff morale and all this sort of stuff, just general stuff. And then I said, what's your office like? And he went, oh, it's tired. I went to him, would you want to work there? And he went, no. I went, well, what the heck do you think your guys, they don't want to work there either, if that's the case. So I don't know why I thought of that, Paul. I think I was looking at your hair thinking, I wonder if he's been to a Turkish barber. It looks good.
No, it was interesting what you said there, though. It's all about experience, isn't it? It's feelings and experience. People remember the experience, don't they? And the feeling that they actually got.
Yeah. I've always been a big fan of having a nice place to work. I mean, my office is like done out quite nice. I've got a nice desk, lighting, blah blah blah, and that was all came. I went to do I went to San Diego a good few years ago, and I went to watch a guy called Brendan Bouchard. He's a bit like a Tony Robbins light. Like you look at him, he's like. Having said that, at the time, I mean, his client list was pretty impressive. It was like Oprah Winfrey, it was Bill Clinton, it was like some famous football NFL guys. It was really, really sort of high end. But he never has. He's never been in the Tony Robbins mold. Anyway, it was a 3.5 day conference. And a lot of the things he was taking, it was personal development and, you know, high performance and all that sort of stuff. And he was speaking about your working environment. And he said that you spend up to 8 to 10, maybe 12 hours per day in your environment. Why would you not want it to be nice? Is the place where you spend the most time with your family nice? Well, yeah. Well, you probably spend 2 to 3 hours a night there. If you got a decent bed, is your bedroom? Yeah. Well, you probably spend 6 to 8 hours. So why is the place where you probably spend the most amount of time crap? If you got blown vinyl wallpaper, if you got wood chip, if you got wires exposed, if you got the cheapest, stinkiest desk and stuff, you know, I'm a big believer in just being comfortable, making sure that you've got the best that you can afford, obviously. And, you know, there's a good saying, look good, feel good, work good. Yeah. And, well, it's play good, actually. It's in rugby terms, you know, but, you know, you look smart, come with clean kit, come with polished boots. And I think it's the same sort of thing here. Make sure your working environment is, you know, you're proud to be there. You're proud to show somebody it.
Is that why you dressed up today and your office looks quite clean today?
I've got Under Armour on. I should be sponsored by Under Armour.
Very tidy there today, very clean.
Look good, feel good, act good.
So that moves on nicely to budgets.
I don't know how it moves on nicely to budgets, but we'll move on to budgets.
He's basically saying you saved all your clothing budget.
Yeah, exactly. I'm skint. I'm budgeting. That's why I can dress like this. Yeah, so I mean, my topic I wanted to chat about with you guys and probably everybody else is it will come to that time of the year where we do budgeting and forecasting, and it's a time of the year where people literally lick a finger, stick it in the air, write it on the back of a fag packet, and that's called a budget. We get excited. We'll do it in December. We'll look at it once in January, and then we just won't follow it for the rest of the year. Especially if you think we're going into a bit of a tougher economic time, which I think everybody agrees and whatnot. Although I don't think it's going to fall off a cliff. I think budgeting now more than anything is really important. I've been working with a guy, one of my clients, and we've literally genuinely saved him £3,000 a month by looking at his P&Ls and just reducing his costs. You know, everybody I work with, and Jerry will attest to this, it's let's have a look at your P&Ls. What can we reduce it? And it's increase the revenue, control the costs. That should be the name of the game. And it doesn't mean that, oh my God, everything's going, we're getting rid of the water cooler, you know, we're getting rid of this, we're getting rid of that, no more free tea and biscuits for the guys at work. But I can guarantee that if you do have monthly P&Ls, management accounts, and they've got to be monthly, quarterly is just no good, then you will be able to shave something off them. But top tip for budgets, don't make it realistic. I mean, there was on another group, and I think it was roughly about this time last year, and it always amazes me where somebody's predicted 100% growth or 200% growth, and you're thinking, how? Where the hell have you got 200% growth from? You can't predict that sort of level of growth. It's impossible. You know, we don't factor in acquisitions in our business. We just don't, because we don't know if it's going to come. Yes, we'd love it to, but, you know, a modest break, keep the same revenue, maybe 5 to 10% increase in revenue, but look at the cost and see what you can do to decrease the costs to make yourself more profitable. And that's where you should be looking at. One thing you can guarantee is you can save money. One thing you can't guarantee is you can't guarantee more business, because you don't know what's out there. Make it realistic, make it measurable. So you'd be looking at this every single month, and you'd be comparing it against the actuals. So again, Xero is a perfect example where you can have your P&Ls, but you can actually have a report that puts it against your monthly budget, and it'll come up with what's called a variance. So if you predicted 10 grand income and you've only got 9, it'll say, you're down 10%, or you're down £1,000. It's important not just to look at it and go, oh, well, back in the drawer, we'll see you next month, Mr. Budget. It's important to look at, why am I £1,000 down? What was it? Was it an And there's nothing, sometimes you can't do anything about it, but it's the fact that you can't do anything about it. You'd be kicking yourself if you went, well, it was this guy I never chased, or I never invoiced, or forgot to do this, or it slipped through the net. Make sure that you know exactly what your budget is and where you are in comparison to that. So I think that's really important. And one last top tip on budgets. If you want to turn over 120 grand in a year, don't put 10 for your revenue, because that's not realistic. Especially if you have a commission structure where your team earn commission on your turnover. So we all know in any industry there are seasonalities. You have a very good December followed by a really good January, February, right? Really poor January, February. Make sure that mirrors how the seasons are. So instead of 10, have a 12 in maybe April, May, but maybe an 8, 9, 8 in June, July, August, because everyone goes on holiday. Make sure that's mirrored from historical point of view, because you want these to be realistic. If you're setting targets at 10 and you've never ever achieved more than 8 in a June, that's demoralizing for your team. They're never going to get their commission. They're going to say, well, what's the point? Equally, if you're putting 10 and your team know that historically they're getting 11 and 12 and they're paid commission, they're not going to be pushing much more than that, because they're going to get the commission just by cruising. So you push your team when times are tough, and you try and just say maintain that when times are good.
Do you remember, JP, when I said to you, this is going back, we had a best ever month last March.
Yeah.
I went to you, oh, it's a bit of a freak month. And then you said to me, well, it's not really, because you spent more on advertising and you launched a load of new products. So I took that on board. So now we have built into our P&Ls, whenever we launch a new product, we're going to spend more on advertising, but we know we're going to turn over more. And that level of predictability is often linked to marketing spend, if you're spending it in the right way. So so I can vouch for that, about the not going 10. Because now we go boom, bang, boom, bang.
People want to put that in, just
we go lower.
Yeah, people want to put it in just because like 10 is dead easy, and it's just very meh. It's just easy to look at. But again, you want it to be, a budget needs to be realistic. That doesn't mean that once a quarter or whenever you feel fit that you can have a look at it and you can say, look, we're a little bit off here. The market's turned a bit worse, or actually we're doing all right. Then Jerry's guides are selling, they're going down the storm. Maybe we can put a little bit extra turnover in. It's a moving feast with budgets. It's got to, but it's that using and analysing that data to make sure that you're not just putting it in the top drawer.
Can I just say as well, like for people listening who might be a bit like I was, go, budgets, numbers. I'm shit with numbers, right? But the budgets is almost my favourite time of the month, because okay. So, and we've used it to go, right, not so much cutting costs, but moving money to go, no, money's better off spend it. Let's spend money in with these people, marketers and that sort of stuff, rather than that platform, for example. So it is, I wouldn't be afraid of it if I was people watching it who are a bit hesitant. It's worth doing. It's like you say, JP, it's so worth doing.
And there's nothing to be scared about. We've all been there. It's the first time you went on a valuation, the first time you had to speak to a landlord, the first time I did budgets. Didn't know jack shit about it. Was quite nervy about it. But it is just getting it started and then just drive. How can you set targets for your team if you haven't got targets for your business?
Yeah.
It all comes from the top down, business targets to managers or department targets to individual targets, and then everyone gets rewarded for hitting them. So if you haven't got them, definitely get them implemented in your business. And if you've got them, but you just don't pay much attention to it, now is the perfect time to really make 2023, because I think we're going to find that the good agents are either going to turn to great or they're going to go to shit. The bad agents, see you.
Yeah. What about you, Paul? What else is on your little agenda?
Yeah, I was just thinking about some things you're saying. There's some really good points there, John. And I think one of the things as well, we're going into November and December, it's going to quieten down for a lot of people. And there's no point ignoring that. But I think at the moment, with regards to marketing, that's an important time to really nurture your leads, have those conversations with your database, your sphere of influence. So the marketing mustn't stop there. And I was having a conversation the other day with a few agents about this, saying that this is the time that you've got to be top of mind, providing value, so that when they do something in January, February, that you are the answer. You're the person they come to. So that's one thing to remember. Now's the time perhaps to up that a bit. So any leads you've generated, any valuations you've been out to and saying that we're not doing anything at the moment, any people that have done business with you in the past, this is time to turn that up. Talking about dropping and turning things up and down, so that when you go into January and February, it is a pipeline, isn't it, of potential business that's going to come your way. That you don't have that January and February where it's all empty because you've done no prospecting, or you've done no nurturing, or you've done no extra marketing. So I think that's something to bear in mind as well. That it's not a time just to sit there and wait. It's the time to start pushing out more on the marketing.
Yeah,
I heard it described really well by a really good agent. And he was talking about post-Brexit, the referendum. And he said, where others slam the brakes, we slam the accelerator.
Yeah.
And they've never caught him up. They've never caught him up. His agency is dominant in that market. I think it's very
excellent example. I've heard that so many times, that the most successful businesses, when it goes quiet, they turn up the spend, and then no one ever catches them for months and years, because they've gained that difference. It's time to gain market share.
Well, one of the things, just a quick one, one of the things that Coca-Cola and Pepsi, I mean, I know Pepsi sort of gaining a lot of market share, was back in the Second World War. What Pepsi did is, for the marketing, you think, Second World War, the world is on its knees, economically speaking, and we didn't know where we were. What Coca-Cola did is that, from a marketing perspective, they went to the US government. You said, look, wherever we have a base or we've got troops stationed as a theatre of war, we will put a Coca-Cola bottling plant there. You pay us, we just want costs, don't worry about it, and we will supply the Coke. Knowing fine well, Coca-Cola, not Coke, that's a completely different thing.
Almost as profitable.
Exactly. And they understood that when the times got good, they would already have that bottling plant in that country. Yeah. So when the World War II ended and people had a bit of dosh, bottling plants were knocking out Coca-Cola left, right, and Chelsea. So, when everybody else is pulling back, they said, we want to invest in our market.
You know what? You've just reminded me of something. I was watching a program yesterday, and it's a bloke who runs an incredibly successful grassroots football team called Dorking Wanderers. He's taken them from where's John gone? Was it someone else?
Hold on.
He's taken them from a Sunday league side to now playing, I think they're semi-professional, or they're in the tier below professionalism. Yeah.
Wow.
And he made a great point, because he said to this guy who's running the women's side of the business, he said, don't make your decision based on the next game. Have the scenarios for, if we win in 6 months' time, how will this affect us? If we lose in 6 months' time, how will this affect us? So he said, you've got to think in 3 months, 6 month, quarterly cycles. So it's just interesting to the people's mindsets is really fascinating me at the moment, because the really good agents are like, yes, the ones who are a bit like this, who like they maybe don't invest so much in themselves and their market and this sort of stuff, they're the ones really worrying, because they've probably been riding a wave that's not of their making, and now that wave is going back down. So we'll see.
Yeah, good. Is there anything you want to talk about, Jerry? Have you got anything you want to? Nothing that's making you mad, sad, glad?
Oh, very much just the weather. No, sorry, just the power of language. Power of language.
No
so
sweat.
It's just four examples, and one of them is Like, you know, like sometimes we work in this industry and we think we've heard it all, and we're all saying the same things but in different ways. And then somebody said to me that, you know, Paramount Properties, Spencer Lawrence,
Oh yeah,
it's a really, 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 really good business and agency, and he's a good guy as well by all accounts. I don't know him personally, but hear nothing but good things about him. But they called landlords owners, and they call tenants residents. And I just think, what in-house? What a different way. You know, like if you're thinking, right, they're the owners, your mindset is going to change. And especially with the tenants one was the one I thought, yeah, they are residents. Because, you know, there is a little bit of they're tenants. There's almost like a negative association to the word with some people. But by calling them residents, you think, right, people are, you know, they're residents, they live there. You know, I just thought it was fascinating.
I like it. Yeah, it's good. I like that.
And also, one of my mates who took over a pub, and I spoke about this with David Mintz, he took over a pub and it was struggling, but he could see the potential. And he said one of the problems was the way the bar staff talked about the customers. And he said they all referred to them as punters. Oh, punters this, and they want this, blah, blah, blah. He said, no. He said, from this day forth, you only call them guests, because we're in the hospitality business. So by calling them guests, he said you could eventually, like some of them, their mindset never changed. He got rid of them. He's quite like ruthless. But he said you could see the mindset changing and shifting towards, oh no, guests, we look after guests. We're more hospitable to guests. We welcome guests. Punters, you just take their money in and that's it. Mm-hmm. So that was the power of language. And I believe it with vendors. Honestly, only the industry describes people that sell houses as vendors.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, it's just, and it's like, I get exasperated. I do. I really, sometimes I just go, woe is me when I hear the word vendor. And I just look out across the rain. It's really raining here, by the way. It's like biblical. I'm expecting to see Noah come past with a couple of sheep. You know, it's very rainy in Brighton.
Yeah. No, I must admit, I always hate the vendor. I don't know if it was you or Matt Baldock or whatever they say. Unless you're selling hot dogs, you're not a vendor.
Or might have been, yeah, hot dogs or t-shirts, t-shirt vendor.
No, it is you. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's crazy and it's dated and it's antiquated and it's. I think it's a legal term anyway, isn't it? Somebody will come and say, "Well, actually, it's the legal phrase." And they're just, shut up, don't want to be stuck in a lift with you, and you're not on my quiz thing because you're boring. Anyway, ran over.
It's a good point.
What's up, mate?
I think it's a good point. What you just said, the power of words.
Yeah.
I want to quickly do a bit of selfless promotion. I have got an online training, full online training day, and that's going to be on Thursday, the 1st of December. So it's going to be called How to Own a Business, Not a Job in 2023. So it's all about business fundamentals, and it's going to have three aspects to it, key aspects. One is budget and forecasting, hence why I want to talk about it today, and we're going to go over that and how to budget accurately. It's also, I'm going to talk about how you create a winning team culture. So everything I've been involved in, I mean, I played sport, 2 different sports at international levels. I've played represented country. I've played sport at a very high level. And the best teams I've been in have had a very good self-policing winning culture. I study it pretty much, as often as I can on a daily, weekly basis. So I'm going to talk about what lessons I've taken from sport and how we've implemented that into Castledine. And then the last thing is we're going to talk about the good old systems, processes, but more so about how you get the mindset of wanting to systemize your business and how to write the processes, because a lot of people think it's just words on a paper when in actual fact, it's so much more than that. So that's going to be Thursday, the 1st of December. I'm going to start promoting that end of the week, beginning of next week. Just about finished all the slides. So it'll be great if I can share it in your 2 groups, chaps. That'll be awesome.
Is that online or is that a physical event?
Full online and ready for preparation. I'm going to do more physical events next year. So I'm going to do an acquisitions one probably in February, March next year as well. And I'm going to probably do 4, 5 physical ones and a couple of online ones. Because I think we were talking before, Paul, I think people have sort of got out of the whole bubble COVID thing and they want to actually get out there now. So yeah, we're going to do more physical events.
I think that would be something really interesting to put in the group and get people's feedback on as well. Is that events, do they prefer them online or physical events, or they're like a mixture? It'd be really interesting to get people.
You know what though, the thing about those events, right? I was at one, the property mart thing, and I bumped into someone that I didn't really want to bump into. And it's a bit like, you know, when you go shopping and you see someone you know, but they're not like your mates. Do you know what I mean? And you think, yeah. I'm terrible at doing that. I do it to Wendy in the house. Pretend I've not seen her. Something like that. So, but I was at this event. I thought, oh, if they collar me, I'm screwed here. And that was it. 20 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. Nodded.
Couldn't get away from them.
Yes, yeah, like that. But no, you know what? The culture part of that alone would be worth tuning in for, because it fascinates me now, and I see it, right. And I might mention this to you guys before, so forgive me. I see it with my daughter's football teams, right? One of them she plays for, like they rock up. It's the boys' team that she plays for. They rock up 6 o'clock, different kit on. They've got the top on, but they haven't got the shorts on. They get there 10 minutes late, some of them. They're not ready. The coaches maybe are not ready, like bang on. The girls' team that are really doing great guns, these girls are there 20 minutes early. If you're it's almost a running joke with the parents. If you're 10 minutes early, you're almost 10 minutes late with these girls. And it's them that sets the culture. Like the coach has drummed it into them, but now he's kind of stepped back. And they just get there on time. They wear the training kit is different from the match. It's just fascinating, you know. Like it does fascinate me in culture. It really does. It really does.
It's quite tough to get going in a positive way, but it's dead easy to break it like that. You just need one bad apple, one person who reduces the culture or makes it a little bit more toxic, and it just completely changes the outlook of the business. I've got back into the high performance podcast after a little bit I thought it went off the boil, but there's one with Eddie Howe, the football coach up your way, Newcastle manager, great manager. And he said, what you got? No, sorry, it's not Eddie Howe. It's Eddie Howe mentioned it, but it's the rugby player, the Springboks captain. Oh, yeah.
Khaleesi,
yeah.
And he said basically they all stood up at some point during the South Springboks camp, and they spoke about their own personal story. So obviously for some it would be Afrikaans guys, and for others it would be like native South Africans.
Yeah.
And he said it just brought the group together. And I thought, imagine doing that in the workplace. Because I know like one of our team, she's told me a bit about her background, and it's really bonded me with her because I recognise some of the stuff that I'd gone through as a younger person and this sort of stuff. So imagine if the team, got up and said, well, this is me, this is my backstory. I think it would be bringing people together, because you would find elements of yourself.
You saying that reminded me of Sir Clive Woodward, who used to coach England, and we won the 2003 World Cup, and England turned professional in 1999. So he came in like 2000. I think he had 3 years to get us ready for the World Cup, and we were never going to win it. Like we were never supposed to win it. We weren't even winning the Grand Slam. And what he said is he got the captains in, and he picked half a dozen of the leadership team. And he said, I want you guys to come up with your own set of rules. So Martin Johnson's 6'8", he's basically a mutant. Like, he should be on the Avengers or something like that as a villain. He's gnarly fingers, bones, elbows. He's horrible. And he's huge. And he said, right, well, I'm going to come up with my own rules with the leadership team. And the first one was being on time. And he said exactly the same. If you're 5 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late. You've got to be there early every time, because it was a very toxic culture of people rocking up, not having the right kit, blah, blah, blah. And it's self-policed. Once you've got a culture and you've got enough people at the top who can roll that culture out and police it, it becomes a self-policing philosophy. And people fall by the wayside. Great, we'll get rid of you. We'll get somebody else in. But either way, the team benefits from it. And as we all know, we went and won the World Cup.
And you know what? And I could see, just with Charlotte's example, it would be so easy to spot a bad apple now.
Yeah.
It would be like, it'd be so easy. Like with the boys team, you can sort of think, oh, those kids need to rein it in a bit.
Yeah.
The girls team, everyone is at it. It's incredible. Yeah. What about you, Paul? What else is you? Because we're such professionals in this industry, we always come prepared with 3 things, don't we?
You are my third thing. The only other thing I thought was really interesting, well, for me it was interesting, is that Instagram is going to allow group profiles now up to 5,000 people, which might be interesting for some agents, especially if they can use that group profile, so they can all join the the Instagram account, and they can all put their own content in. So it might be properties, things like that. So something totally different there thrown in, but that's something which I saw this week, which I was going to raise, which I thought might interest a few agents that are watching. So group profiles, rather than one person owning it, up to 5,000, and that could be a place where properties end up, or advice or tips or whatever on that.
And remember, I think the final thing that I've got on my little notepad is we've got the World Cup coming up.
Yeah,
man. Just the World Cup is in November. What is going on with the whole world? No wonder we're doomed.
So how can agents benefit from the World Cup?
It's, you know what? It's a really funny World Cup. This is a weird World Cup, right? Because a lot of people I know that are big football fans are not that bothered by it. I don't think England are going to do that well. I think Southgate's kind of run out of steam and ideas, as much as I like him as a person. So content-wise, what we've been saying to people is we've come up with how to avoid the World Cup.
Okay.
So there are things you can do to get away from the World Cup. Because it kicks off. When's it kick off? November the 20th, is it, or something like that?
21st, 20th, yeah, around about then.
Yeah. So yeah, from a content point of view, we've come up with some stuff like how to avoid the World Cup, and obviously the usual videos and graphics and that sort of stuff we're going to provide the members. But I know historically that speaking to agents, summer World Cups used to affect viewings. So I wonder if that was your guys' experience, because you run agencies about World Cups. But also I wonder if, because it's in November, if it's going to affect viewings at all, or if people are going to be disinterested. Because let's face it, Qatar, they've got a few things they need to sort out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw one of the Nevilles got absolutely slated on one of the programs he was hosting. Oh, what the hell was it? Anyway, it was one of them. Ian Heslop, you know, the guy who used to be editor of Private Eye, basically said, so why are you going there? Is it for the big paycheck? He said, I'm going there to see what it's, see the human rights, and you need to be there to see it. And he went, really? Can you not sit at home and then tell everybody what it's like? Do you really have to go collect your big paycheck and then tell everybody? So I think there's a lot of people turned off because of that, just because of the human rights history as well.
It's human rights. It's the same-sex marriage thing and the gay banning thing. It's the way they've treated. There's a lot of. I've listened to a few football podcasts, and there's some shit going on in Qatar that needs sorting out, and it does take away the shine from the World Cup. Because let's face it, when it was in Brazil, man, everyone was up for it. It's Brazil. It's a cool country. Qatar, yeah. But I think.
Sorry, go on.
No, I forgot what I was going to say. It's probably a lie.
Well, I was going to say if we need to support anyone, or here's an idea. The England Roses, the ladies England rugby team, are in the World Cup final on Sunday morning at 6:30.
And they're against, is it Australia and New Zealand?
New Zealand, the Kiwis.
Wow. And New Zealand good, are they?
You're sorry?
And New Zealand good.
Do you know what? Right. Well, no, really. So the New Zealand, the All Blacks, the men's team are actually being beaten a couple of times in the last half a dozen games, especially off Ireland over in New Zealand twice, 2 out of 3 times. So that layer, and I was watching a good couple of podcasts about it, that air of invincibility is gone now. So it was a case of like the Tyson, you were beat before you got in the ring, you were beat before you crossed the whitewash and you got on the pitch. New Zealand have lost that now. So it's, teams are taking it to them. They literally beat Japan by, I want to say 6-7 points last weekend. Japan.
Yeah.
So they read out the last 5 games over the last, say, 15 years, or maybe 10 years, decade. Wasn't that long, actually. And the points difference between the teams were always in favour of New Zealand. Japan have never beat them. But it went something like 150, 80, 50, 60, 30, 19, 5.
Is that a combination of 2 things, though? Because Japan, obviously, they're a progressive, smart country. Their football team has got amazingly better over the years. Is it a case of...
Yeah, it's a bit of...
But Japan are catching up.
Bit of both. It's a little bit of both. And I think they've relaxed the nationality rules, because I can tell you for one thing, there was a few people playing on the Japanese team that didn't look Japanese.
I would name like Steve.
Yeah. Fred Anderson from Hackney. You know,
But somebody just made a great point there in the comments, and I can't see who said it, but the World Cup wall planners.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Very, very good idea, especially if it's downloadable. And if whoever that was, tag me in it, please, because I need one for Charlotte, and I don't want to go out and buy one. That said,
Paul. That was Paul Monday. Yeah,
Yeah, Paul Monday.
yeah, and you know what as well? Just on a totally different thing, I've almost completed a sticker book for Charlotte. It's for Charlotte. Honestly, I've done about 300 quid on stickers the past month. I have, honestly. I don't drink. I just buy stickers. What's that?
listen, we've all got your vices.
But yeah, it's really addictive, by the way. Panini stickers.
Here's an idea. How about a sticker book for our industry where you can put people in from all the different offices and companies?
Got, need, don't want. Got, need, don't want. Like that.
There's a couple of them you just wouldn't put them in on purpose, would you?
Yeah, 100%.
That would be interesting.
You know, can I just say something while my ADHD is on fire, right? You know what is a really interesting idea for this industry? Do you want to know what it is? A media outlet that's not linked to any of the awards, focuses more on independent agents, and kind of doesn't give a shit. Like a proper media, you know, they'll report on everything. Like when Booming went bust, they'd report about certain aspects of that. And they're not linked to anything. I mean, it would be hard to do because where do they get their revenue from? But a truly independent news outlet for the industry, I don't know, there might be a millionaire out there who's willing to fund it. Give me a call, because I can. Don't want to get involved in the nitty gritty, but I'll consult for a good fee. I'll do a Gary Neville, basically.
Yeah.
But don't you think that I read some reports sometimes on the outlets? I'm not even going to name one because I think that's unfair because there's free. But I do think, really, that's just PR. That's where's the journalistic digging into something? And don't get me wrong, they're probably under resourced. But I think it's a really, really interesting idea.
Yeah, it is a good idea, that, yeah.
So if anyone wants to speak to me about it and sort of, like, I'm willing to be a consultant.
Yeah, he's pitching for work.
Hourly rate. Just talking, isn't it? Just talking, consultancy.
Yeah.
You know, it is. I like talking.
Right, guys. Well, speaking of talking, we've been going for 45 minutes now. So just want to say thanks to the lads. Had a really, really good chat. Really enjoyed it. And we'll be back, next month-ish?
Next month. Just remind us, when's the date of that, your course?
1st of December. It's an all day. It's going to be 9:30 till 5 o'clock on Zoom. I'll be posting in the various groups how to own a business, not a job in 2023. Remember
the 1st of December. How about that?
Good. Brilliant. I like that. All right, chaps.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
See you later.